I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. And this is This Week
in Cruton.
It's This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at NextLevelD1. Lot to get to. Not as fast and furious a week as last week, but that's a super. I
don't know, man. It's been crazy.
It's still a huge one, and we had another elite prospect commit that we're going to talk about in a moment. But first, let's talk about our prospect on the rise. We're going to Northwest ISD to talk about Justin Northwest 2020 offensive tackle Michael Nichols. You like the frame, 6'5",
right.
250. Feels like he's probably got a frame to hang a little bit more weight on. Picked up another offer this week from TCU. That's, I believe, Baylor had also offered, so that's his second Power 5 offer. This is a guy who starting to get a little bit of momentum. People are starting to notice this guy.
Up to a half dozen now, and as you're listening to us talk about him, you're watching his spring highlights from Northwest, and I think that's relevant because this is the guy that everybody got to see, and they started pulling the trigger on. Very athletic, moves extremely well on the second level, great feet, and mobile. And if offensive tackle doesn't work out, I think he would be a tremendous center prospect as well. Just a little light in the britches right now. Once he adds the necessary weight, I think that he has a very high upside and fits what a school like TCU or Baylor and SMU has offered him as well. So fits what those schools would like to do on offense. Can move as they and also get back to the line of scrimmage very quickly. They need guys in shape to run these up-tempo, fast-paced offenses, and he's definitely that guy.
But you figure even I mean, it's crazy to think of a guy at 250 pounds is small, but you feel like at 6'5", 250, he's going to stick at tackle?
I think it could be tackle or center.
Okay.
I mean, I think tackle would probably be the first choice, but center could also certainly be a spot that you could look at him at, and maybe a comparison, if you're a Baylor fan, could be a guy like Xavier Newman, who was at DeSoto. He's not quite as thick as Xavier was, but very similar style of prospect. Xavier, of course, played some offensive tackle as well in high school, but could probably move inside.
Justin Northwest, 2020 offensive tackle Michael Nichols, our prospect on the rise. To get to our commit of the week, this is the aforementioned major commit. The running back core there at Oklahoma continues to get pretty good as they pick up a commitment from Mesquite Poteet running back Seth McGowan. He had offers from everyone.
Yeah.
Pretty much everyone. He chooses Oklahoma over Texas, over Georgia, over A&M, over USC. He had a lot of offers. This is a blue chip running back who now joins Jace McClellan, who I believe is still committed to Oklahoma.
Interesting.
This is a really, really big get here for the Sooners.
Definitely, and he kind of grew up a Sooner fan too, so I think this was one of those things that really came down to a battle. As you mentioned, they've had Jace McClellan on that commitment list, so I think that he really had to decide whether he wanted to go in and compete with a guy like Jace, or Jace wants to go in and compete with a guy like Seth. I mean, there's still months to National Signing Day. We'll see how it all plays out. But I think that they could complement each other pretty well, and elite teams don't just use one running back anymore. The days of that are in our rearview mirror. There can be a featured back for these teams, but they're going to employ a 2 or 3 running back system at Oklahoma to keep their guys fresh, regardless of how good the number one guy is. But McGowan is one of those guys who is a bruiser, but also has electric footwork in the open field, can make people miss, and I really like his ability to make defenders miss in a tight window. In the box, it's really hard to get a firm grasp on him, and he's a game-changing type of talent.
He is he's plain simple. I think that the guys like Zach Evans and Jace McClellan, I think they eat up a lot of the oxygen in the room when you talk about running backs. But Seth McGowan, if this was another class, we'd be talking about him as the best running back in the state.
Well, what I like about him is he has the it factor from a student athlete perspective. He's not just a one-trick pony. He's not just a football player. He's serious about his academics, and he's a teammate that you can depend upon. And I think that's why the staff there at Mesquite Poteet, I don't remember who the new coach is off the top of
Cody
my head.
Groves.
Nope.
Cody Groves.
No, my gosh.
It's Rodney.
Rodney McLean.
Yep.
Rodney McLean.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
Coach McLean is going to love having him.
And you need to be careful with that because Rodney looks like a member of SEAL Team 6.
That's very true.
I did see that photo.
Yeah.
But Coach McLean at Poteet is going to love being able to get into that program and have a guy like Seth McGowan, who is a senior leader on that team as the transition is made with the new staff there. Of course, he was already on staff, but still, to have a Seth McGowan on your team, I'll take it.
Absolutely. Seth McGowan commits to Oklahoma. He's number 8 in the Dave Campbell's Texas Football 2020 prospect rankings at texasfootball.com/recruiting. Our underclassmen of the week, let's go to the class of 2021 down in the San Antonio area.
Yep.
Cibolo Steele athlete Kaleb Higgins added 3 big-time offers, 3 Power 5 offers this week. Boston College, and then, Baylor and Texas A&M. 2 pretty big, 3 big-time offers. This is a guy who Cibolo, like athletes, another place that is, I think, I know you don't love. You like to make sure you commit to a guy, but at the same time, he's so talented at so many different positions.
Well, and Steele loves to use these defensive backs when they're younger on offense. They've done it with Caden Stearns. They did it with pretty much all of their guys that have projected onto the defensive side of the football. Jalen Jones played a little bit of wide receiver. He actually played some last year as well before really settling in the defensive backfield. But I think colleges are going to love his size, length, and athleticism as a DB prospect, and he's been working out at these camps where these colleges have had a chance to see him, and that's why his offer list has kind of taken off. He camped at Texas A&M this week and earned an offer there. Steele, man, they just – keep reloading down there in the San Antonio area. I mean, it's crazy to think of especially the defensive back talent that they've been able to produce in recent years. It's crazy. It's been
really talented. This is a guy who I think is going to be a name to know down there in San Antonio. Steele always has big time playmakers. Finally, let's get to our recruit of the week. Our recruit of the week could also be a commit of the week.
Yep.
It's a Dillon Robinson, the wide receiver out of Humble, Atascocita, a guy who passes a lot of the eyeball tests. This guy is really, really impressive. Commits to Houston. Dana Holgerson doing work in keeping it local there in H-Town, and gets a big one there in Atascocita wide receiver Dillon Robinson.
And we really were forced to pick another commit for the recruit of the week this year just because there were so many. And the reason why I wanted to select Dillon over a guy like Troy O'Meary, who committed to Texas A&M, or Theron Stroups from Lancaster committed to Baylor, and Jalen Lott from Hebron committed to UTSA. But why I thought that this was significant was because of the fact that Houston and Dana Holgerson there is going to roll out some offensive weapons. We know that, and this is his first big commitment on offensive weapon in this class at Houston. He joins Kendall Sepps as the first 2 commitments for Houston in the 2020 cycle for the Cougars. And Dillon was really, really good at our Next Level Athlete Showcase. As a matter of fact, coming into that, I really hadn't heard too much about him, but he's long and rangy, but also twitchy. And that's a it's
a good combination of fun words to say.
It's not a description you'd want in any other line of work.
Right. He's a quick twitch guy who has the range of what you would think of as if you were building a free safety on NCAA 2K14, you would kind of build a free safety like Dillon, but he catches the football like a receiver, and he has quick twitch ability as well.
Yeah, he is. He's a big time playmaker, and I know Coach Craig Stump loves what he brings to the table down there at Humble, Atascocita. Dillon Robinson commits to Houston, and that was one thing that when you talked with that when you hear Dana Holgerson talk about his recruiting philosophy, he's saying we're gonna keep it local. We want to own Houston because he believes, I think rightly, that you can win big with guys just from down there in the Houston area. I think he's right.
And I agree with that. I think if you can recruit Houston and then mix in Dallas, San Antonio, New Orleans with what you're doing there, and the JUCO ranks. I mean, Houston's going to have to rely a little bit on recruiting a certain level of junior college talent, I think, as well. And they were really adept at that at West Virginia. They picked up a lot of junior college guys who went on to the NFL while they were there. So I think that is and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State as well does a really good job of that. So I think you'll see them mix some junior college talent in.
He's Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowersScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at NextLevelD1. Powers, appreciate your time. I'll be back next Wednesday, so let's do a show next Wednesday.
Let's do it.